Well, the Clintons hammerlock on the party money and her standing in the party based on a very strong run against Obama gave her and the nasty tactics and air of inevitability. Professional Democrats, many of them whom I know and drink with, who despise her, supported her candidacy because the Clintons were notoriously vengeful. They were
sure. So what are they saying about her now?
Look, I think they view her as dead meat, but don't think that means they've changed their ideology or that they've changed their game plan to push a communist, socialist, leftist agenda.
And that was my next point. That was my next point, what you just said. They are trying to jettison her because she's not leftist and globalist and racist enough. They think she's posing as that. And so this shows how they admittedly have gotten even more radical and even more mentally ill.
Well, look, and I should address two other key points here. My sources tell me that the attacks against Judge Roy Moore, which are almost 40 years ago, these are not convictions. These are merely accusations looking sketchier and sketchier the more they are examined. I'm told that this was cooked up and packaged by the diabolical Karl Rove at the behest of Mitch McConnell. This is the payback for the pasting of their hand-picked candidate, Luther Strange. And they're endangering a seat for the Senate, and they don't seem to care. When McConnell called on Moore to withdraw, he knew legally that there was no way to do that his name cannot be removed from the ballot at this point.
Roger was on a few weeks ago. He said, hey, Hillary says she's going to run again in 2020. We're going to support our exploratory committee. And I said to Roger off air, I said, I almost don't want to give them our plan and make jokes about this because they still think Hillary's their girl. But now all of them are turning against her. The entire system. Meanwhile, at the very moment, the Republicans are trying to get rid of Roy Moore. And I'm not saying he's perfect. If he did the things they're claiming, then I say crucify him. But now some of the accusers have gone offline. Others are, Democratic Party operatives. All this other stuff's going on. My big issue is our big problem is the Republican Party. Just because we're defeating the Democrats and America's turned on them in a political realignment, how do we make sure we get good people in the Republican Party to turn this around? But Roger, what do you make of the point we've gotten to when clearly months ago I said they're starting to eat the Clintons, they're turning on them, they're going to use the Harvey Weinstein thing as a trigger to go after everybody. I mean, now that's happened. What is the next shoe to drop, and what do you make of the complete exodus against the Clintons?
I think this is a very key point, Alex, and that is many on the right have long believed that the ruling elite was monolithic and that they moved in total concert through their groups such as the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, and, of course, the Bilderbergers. That's not entirely true. They have their own intramural struggles. The Rockefellers always wanted ultimate power. They never got the presidency. The Kennedys had to fight the Rockefellers, and the Harrimans had to fight both of them for supremacy within the establishment. What you have here is a purge, very much like the purge in Saudi Arabia, where the hard left, who see the Democratic Party as their vehicle and long-term investment, realize that Bill and Hillary are dead weight, that Bill's rapes and his assault on women can no longer be suppressed, that Hillary's role in covering it up is now too widely known, that the epic scam of the Clinton Foundation, if they follow the path laid out by the brilliant Charles Wortel, will lead to indictments ultimately for the violation of multiple laws, because the Clintons indeed would steal a hot stove. Deeply resented in Obama land is the profiteering. It's not just, for example, that Hillary negotiated an agreement with the Obama administration regarding her contacts and handling of her foundation while she was Secretary of State, then made sure that the agreement was not legally binding, and then continuously violated it in violation of what she had agreed to with Barack. Is it surprising that Obama is ready to download this dead weight?
That's a really good point. So if I pull back from this, though, obviously they know their political party's in trouble. Getting rid of the Clintons now, that's a day late, a dollar short, as they say. This is a metastasizing cancer and they've got all these other corrupt interests in there as well. Why didn't they see this before?
Well, the Clintons' hammerlock on the party money and her standing in the party based on a very strong run against Obama gave her and the nasty tactics and air of inevitability. Professional Democrats, many of them whom I know and drink with, who despise her, supported her candidacy because the Clintons were notoriously vengeful. They were
sure. So what are they saying about her now?
Look, I think they view her as dead meat, but don't think that means they've changed their ideology or that they've changed their game plan to push a communist, socialist, leftist agenda.
And that was my next point. That was my next point, what you just said. They are trying to jettison her because she's not leftist and globalist and racist enough. They think she's posing as that. And so this shows how they admittedly have gotten even more radical and even more mentally ill.
Well, look, and I should address two other key points here. My sources tell me that the attacks against Judge Roy Moore, which are almost 40 years ago, these are not convictions. These are merely accusations looking sketchier and sketchier the more they are examined. I'm told that this was cooked up and packaged by the diabolical Karl Rove at the behest of Mitch McConnell. This is the payback for the pasting of their hand-picked candidate, Luther Strange. And they're endangering a seat for the Senate, and they don't seem to care. When McConnell called on Moore to withdraw, he knew legally that there was no way to do that his name cannot be removed from the ballot at this point, regardless of any statement.
What do you make of a lot of polls that are up on Infowars.com showing Moore has gotten even bigger leads since this happened? It looks like Alabamans are just sick of dirty tricks.
Well, that could be the case. In all honesty, it's a little soon to poll it because it's still nuclear. I mean, Roy Moore is trending, but someone has taken advantage of what is a national disgrace, and that is all these leftist hypocrites who claim to love feminism and be feminists turning out to be sexual harassers. I mean, Weinstein is no different than Bill Clinton, for example.
How would you grade Trump? I mean, Afghanistan, he said he wouldn't expand it. He did. He's been wrong on vaccines. He said he would try to expose it. He didn't. He's bad on WikiLeaks. I mean, let's say the things he's bad on. But overall, the elite hate him. He's got the economy going. He's bringing back free speech, anti-political correctness. I mean, what's good about Trump in 3 minutes? What's bad about Trump?
A record stock market, unemployment at the lowest point in American history, very, very aggressively trying to hack back regulations in all departments that retard job growth and economic growth. His head screwed on right, most definitely in terms of North Korea, understands that strength, peace through strength is better than marching off to foreign wars. My real problem, Alex, is that the high number of Bush alum, headed by H.R. McMaster and Dina Habib Powell, and particularly in the White House Economic Policy Council shop, are hardcore pro-NAFTA, pro-neocon, pro-Iraq war Bushies, and they unilaterally have found a way to, I think, mislead the president. We were supposed to be out of that.
And so we're getting a lot done thanks to his instincts, but when he's trying to pull from the swamp to make his government, he's being infiltrated at every turn, which means we've got to be vigilant, we've got to be focused.
Look, you got to support him when he's right, which is most of the time. You got to point out where his orders and his policies are being countermanded by a Bush-commanded bureaucracy out to undo what he wants done. I think he's doing extraordinarily well on the big picture stuff.
Let me get back to this briefly with you. What do you make of Mueller now that he's discredited, involved with the Russians, Hillary discredited again, back to the Podestas, shutting down their lobbying firm? I mean, what does that signal? Or does Mueller just roll forward despite the fact that he's basically, been caught in bed with Putin?
Look, I think Tony Podesta probably isn't guilty of that many crimes. If he is indicted for failure to file for the Ukrainian party he was represented, this crime is easily remedied by filing. He did file late, but he filed. And no one has ever been, to our knowledge, actually prosecuted for this. And if they were, it would be, generally speaking, a $5,000 fine and a slap on the wrist.
And it's the same thing they're going after Manafort, so it's a political stunt.
It's window dressing. It's the way Robert Mueller convinces us, look, I'm bipartisan. I'm going after a big Democrat. Now, here's the problem. John Podesta told the Senate Intelligence Committee he knew nothing about the Fusion GPS, so-called dirty dossier.
That's the real crime, is the perjury on Fusion GPS.
And it appears that he was lying now that we know that he met with a Fusion GPS official who is talking to the government. So I think it is reasonable to say that John Podesta's time in the barrel may be about to come. But
not for what we're hearing about. All right, Roger Stone. We can only follow you on Twitter at Stone Cold Truth because they've banned Roger Stone off of there. You've got a lawsuit ongoing. So we'll talk to you again coming up this week during the weekday transmission.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Take a look at this study. Prenatal pollution exposure linked to decreased telomere length. Telomeres is something you may have heard of recently. It is what is at the end of your DNA that is responsible for the aging process. This is a very important part of our human chemistry. So you already know that we live in an environment that is just loaded with toxic chemicals. Now they're finding that that environment is actually affecting babies in the prenatal stage, specifically when it comes to the telomeres. So now you have babies prematurely aging because of all the toxins. So what does Infowars do, folks? We find a solution and we offer you the best, most groundbreaking product to deal with protecting and keeping your telomeres healthy, and that is DNA Force at InfoWarsStore.com. And right now, DNA Force is 25% off, folks. 25% off. We see the study that tells you your telomeres are under attack, and we cut the price because we care about you and we want you to be fully healthy and aware to fight the new world order. So go to InfoWarsStore.com, take advantage of DNA Force, protect your telomeres. Look at the science behind DNA Force for yourself, and you will see why this product is groundbreaking for telomere protection. InfoWarsStore.com.